The New England Patriots are aware of the accusations that have been made regarding Stefon Diggs.
That was the Patriots, standing by their star wide receiver, but that support had an expiration date. Stefon Diggs is now facing a felony strangulation charge, released by his team, and saying goodbye on Instagram, all at the same time. The question is not whether his career is in trouble. The question is how deep this goes, and the answer is going to shock you. The charges. Stefon Diggs is facing a felony strangulation charge. That is the sentence that changed everything. Not a fine, not a suspension. A criminal charge filed by the state of Massachusetts that carries real prison time if he is convicted. And the story behind that charge did not start in a courtroom. It started in a bedroom, in his own house, over unpaid wages. Let's go back to the beginning. In July 2025, Diggs hired a private chef, a live-in arrangement at his home at 7 Schoolmaster Lane in Dedham, Massachusetts. She cooked. She stayed on the property. It was a professional setup. Everything was fine, until it wasn't. Around late November 2025, disputes broke out over unpaid wages. She claimed she was owed at least 1 month's pay. Text exchanges allegedly showed Diggs refusing. According to police reports, his messages included lines like, "I won't be paying you," and "What do I look like paying you and paying another chef?" She described the situation at the house as, quote, "a circus." Then came December 2nd. According to the Dedham police report, Diggs entered her unlocked bedroom. Words were exchanged, and then, according to her account, he smacked her across the face. When she tried to push him back, he wrapped the crook of his elbow around her neck and squeezed, hard enough that she said she felt short of breath. Hard enough that she described feeling like she could black out. As she pried at his arm, she says he tightened his grip. Then he threw her onto the bed, looked at her and said, "Thought so." When she told him again she had not been paid, he said one word, "lies," and walked out of the room. She left the house that same day to stay with a friend. She returned briefly on December 9th to grab her belongings and try one more time to get paid. She said Diggs's finance team told her she would need to sign a non-disclosure agreement before receiving any money. She refused. On December 16th, she went to the Dedham Police Department and filed a report. She had waited 2 weeks. She later told investigators she had hesitated because of who Diggs was, an NFL player with resources, fame, and lawyers. She initially said she did not want charges filed. Then, on December 23rd, she changed her mind. She received messages she believed were from Diggs's girlfriend, messages that suggested whoever was sending them knew she had contacted police. That changed everything for her. On December 29th, 2025, Dedham police issued a criminal complaint. Diggs was charged with 1 count of felony strangulation or suffocation under Massachusetts general laws, Chapter 265, Section 15D, and 1 count of misdemeanor assault and battery. 2 charges, 1 felony. Now here is where it gets interesting. The arraignment was originally scheduled for January 2026, 1 week before the AFC Championship game. It was reportedly postponed to allow Diggs to continue playing through the playoffs. The New England Patriots were on a Super Bowl run, and the NFL did not place him on the commissioner's exempt list. He played all the way through Super Bowl 60. The Patriots lost to the Seahawks. Then on February 13th, 2026, Diggs appeared in Dedham District Court. He did not speak to reporters. His attorney entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. He was released on personal recognizance, no bail required. A no-contact order was placed between him and the accuser. His next court date, a pre-trial hearing on April 1st, 2026. The Pat McAfee Show broke it down the moment it went public. Here's what they said when the charges first dropped.
Now, Stefon Diggs, brother of Trevon Diggs of the New England Patriots, a lot of conversation this year about how much he has helped this Patriots team and how mature he's been.
And that right there is the contrast that made this story explode. Because the entire 2025 season, the narrative around Diggs was a comeback story. ACL rehab, new team, new attitude, buy-in, leadership.
Well, breaking as of today, the world is learning that he is facing strangulation and assault charges, and he's to be arraigned here a week before
the AFC Championship, January 23rd.
A week before the AFC Championship. That is the timeline. And the Patriots, they issued a statement immediately. His attorney, Mitchell Schuster, went on record the same day.
The New England Patriots are aware of the accusations that have been made regarding Stefon Diggs.
That was the official line. But behind the scenes, the tone was very different.
Stefon has informed the organization that he categorically denies the allegations. We support Stefon.
His attorney called the claims unsubstantiated and uncorroborated, the direct result, he said, of an employment dispute that the employee did not feel was resolved in her favor. The attorney added that there would be no plea deal, that Diggs was completely innocent, that the evidence would tell a very different picture and lead to full exoneration.
That's a lot of drama. There's a very serious allegations, and that Patriots team seemingly has everything going in the right direction.
And here's the thing. This was just the criminal case, just the charges from December 2025. The chef incident, one woman, one pay dispute, one night. But Stefon. Diggs had been collecting legal problems for 2 full years before that night even happened. And that is the part the headlines glossed over. Because to understand where he is right now, facing a felony, unsigned, saying goodbye on Instagram, you have to understand the full picture of how he got here. And it starts way earlier than December 2025. The pattern. Here is what nobody wants to say out loud. Stefon Diggs' own teammates warned us years ago, on camera, in a Vikings locker room in 2017 before any of this happened. The Vikings ran a segment called 96 Questions. Players were asked, what guy on this team would you least want dating your sister? The answer, near unanimous, was Stefon Diggs.
What guy on this team would you least like to date your sister?
What the hell? Diggs.
Why Diggs?
Man, no. We're gonna leave it like that. No.
This was not one person. This was multiple teammates on camera, one after another, giving the same answer without hesitation.
What guy on this team would you least like to date your sister?
Oh, Stefon Diggs.
Why Diggs?
He's crazy. He's just outrageous. Don't know what he's gonna say. Just don't know what to expect every day. So he couldn't date my sister.
That was Laquan Treadwell. Then came Adam Thielen.
What guy on this team would you least like to date your sister?
Least I should date my sister, Diggs. 100%.
Why Diggs?
Because he's not a guy that you want to bring home to your parents. Like, you don't want your sister to bring him home to your parents, so therefore she can't date him.
Unpredictable, wild, a man you hide your family from. Those were the words his own teammates used in 2017, before any of the lawsuits, before the charges, before December 2025. The clip resurfaced in late 2025 and early 2026, immediately after the strangulation charges went public. Commentator Joe Gabrielle posted directly to X. His teammates publicly said they'd never let their sisters date a man like him. And now, here we are. Diggs addressed the old clip in a 2025 interview on the Scoop City show with Diana Rossini. He saw the video again and flipped it. He said, none of those guys in that video were good guys. Maybe one, Adam Thielen, maybe. Good for him. So I'm just kidding. But shout out to Adam. He laughed it off. He turned it into a joke. That was the Stefon Diggs move. Take the heat, spin it, keep it moving. And for a while, that worked. But the controversies did not stay in jokes and locker room clips. They escalated in real time. The Bills' tenure ended ugly. During his time in Buffalo, Diggs posted cryptic messages on social media that many read as shade toward quarterback Josh Allen. There were reported sideline blowups. He missed mandatory minicamp practices. Coach Sean McDermott addressed it publicly. In April 2024, the Bills traded him to the Texans, absorbing significant dead cap money to get out of the deal. The relationship repaired somewhat over time. Allen later made positive comments post-trade, but the pattern of burning bridges was already in motion. Then came the 2025 offseason. Diggs signed a 3-year deal with the New England Patriots worth roughly $69 million. New city, new start, new narrative. Then video surfaced of him on a yacht, surrounded by women, passing what appeared to be a pink crystal-like substance to one of them. It went immediately viral. The speculation was immediate and loud. The Patriots investigated internally. Coach Mike Vrabel said the team had private conversations with Diggs, but had no plans to cut him. No charges, no arrest. But the optics were set. Then September 2025, a woman named Aileen Lopera filed a paternity suit claiming Diggs was the father of her daughter, Charlie Harper Diggs Lopera. Diggs requested a DNA test. The test confirmed he was the father. The case was settled in January 2026 when both parties reportedly agreed to co-parent. But the tabloids were already running. Rumors were circulating about a relationship and a baby with Cardi B, which would add another full layer of drama later. Then, October and November 2025, clothing designer and influencer Christopher Blake Griffith filed a civil complaint against Diggs. Griffith alleged that at a 2023 charity basketball event in the DC area, Diggs drugged him using intoxicant-laced chocolate and committed sexual battery. He also alleged that Diggs' brother, Derez Diggs, was brought in as part of a conspiracy to have Griffith attacked, to suppress whatever Griffith knew. Griffith cited injuries including fractures, a meniscus tear, a traumatic brain injury, PTSD, and stolen property. Derez Diggs pleaded no contest process to felony assault in connection with related charges. Stefon Diggs filed a defamation countersuit in October 2025, calling Griffith's claims pure fiction. Griffith countersued with civil conspiracy allegations. Both cases are still active and unresolved. And then, before any of that even settled, came December 2nd, 2025. The chef, the bedroom, the elbow, the charges. By the time the state of Massachusetts filed that criminal complaint on December 29th, Stefon Diggs had a paternity case, an active civil complaint for sexual battery, a countersuit for defamation, and a felony strangulation charge all running simultaneously, and he was still playing for the New England Patriots. On the field in 2025, Diggs caught 82 passes for 970 yards and 4 touchdowns. He was productive through the entire circus, and the NFL, true to its standard process, waited. No suspension, no commissioner's exempt list placement, no public announcement of an investigation.
I think a lot of people were saying the NFL typically waits until the legal situation is resolved in court and everything.
That was the shield, and it held through the playoffs, through the AFC Championship, through Super Bowl LX. But that shield was about to crack, and when it did, it cracked from the inside. There is one more case that did not make the front page the same way the chef story did, but in some ways, it is the most revealing case of all, because it connects Stefon's orbit to violence in a way that goes far beyond one pay dispute in one bedroom. In February 2026, just days before Super Bowl LX, a former associate and employee filed a lawsuit against Diggs in Miami-Dade County. The core claim, in July 2024, this man arranged transport of Diggs' Ferrari from Miami to New York to Houston. In Houston, the car was stolen by a third party. Police confirmed the theft. The plaintiff was never charged. But according to the lawsuit, Diggs began publicly blaming this man for the theft, spreading claims that damaged his reputation and his business. Then, the confrontations began. Associates of Diggs allegedly showed up at restaurants and at the plaintiff's home, demanding the return of gifts. Text messages from Diggs, dated January 2025, reportedly read, "Responsible and accountable for all actions of those around me." Then in December 2025, the same month as the chef incident, the plaintiff was allegedly attacked at Tootsie's Cabaret in Miami. 2 men connected to Diggs' circle, a torn ACL, a partially torn MCL, facial injuries. The lawsuit names Trevon Diggs, Stefon's brother, the former Cowboys cornerback, as a witness who allegedly stood there and did nothing. The lawsuit names Stefon Diggs, Trevon Diggs, and Darez Diggs, all 3 brothers. Defamation, civil conspiracy, vicarious liability, aiding and abetting assault and battery. Damages sought over $100,000. No public response from Stefon Diggs' team at time of reporting. And throughout all of this, his social media told its own story. In March 2026, Diggs purged all content from his Instagram account and reportedly unfollowed the Patriots. No explanation, just gone. The digital equivalent of leaving the building without saying goodbye. The release. On March 4th, 2026, the New England Patriots made it official. Stefon Diggs was informed he would be released at the start of the new league year. The league year opened around March 11th, after one season, after $69 million worth of commitment, after a Super Bowl run, after all of it. The official reason given by the organization was cap math, not the felony charge, not the lawsuits. Cap math. Here's how the numbers looked. Diggs' salary cap charge was set to rise from $10.5 million in 2025 to $26.5 million in 2026, and a significant chunk of that was about to become guaranteed. Releasing him before that trigger date saved the Patriots a meaningful amount of money and cleared room to rebuild the roster. Reports noted that the team was not fully closing the door. Sources indicated the Patriots remained open to potentially re-signing Diggs on a cheaper deal. The official framing was financial, not punitive. Analysts, however, were not fully buying the clean narrative. Legal issues were cited as contextual factors, even if the organization never put that in writing. And when you look at the timeline, charges in December, arraignment in February, release in March, the sequence is hard to ignore. Now here's the part that turned the release into a moment, because when the Patriots let him go, Diggs did not stay quiet. On the same day the release was reported, March 4th, 2026, he posted to his Instagram stories. The message, "Thank you for a hell of a year. We family forever." Variations of the post included the phrase, "Until we meet again," signed with his number 8. That was the goodbye forever moment. And the internet did exactly what you would expect. Posts from accounts like Raindrops Media 1 on X framed it immediately as a deserved downfall, compiling the losses, the team, the Super Bowl, the legal exposure, the relationships. The post hit massive engagement. A follow-up post the next day kept the energy going. The fan base split into two camps the moment it dropped. Camp 1, innocent until proven guilty. Patriots fans, particularly, rallied behind the due process argument. The charges had not gone to trial. No conviction existed. The NFL had not suspended him. He was still a free man, still able to sign with a new team. The legal process needed to run its course before anyone drew conclusions. The Pat McAfee show captured that tension precisely.
I believe it was with a girlfriend where, he basically missed 11 games. And then after, he was cleared, his name was cleared, it ended up being kind of like a hoax type situation.
The Jabril Peppers comparison was brought up. Another Patriots player who faced allegations, sat out games, and was eventually cleared.
It'll be interesting to see what does happen because the Jabril Peppers situation and the Stefon Diggs situation, much different charges.
Much different charges. That was the key phrase. Peppers had one allegation. Diggs had a felony, a criminal complaint from the state. Not just a civil filing, not just tabloid noise. Camp 2 went hard. Bills fans, in particular, were vocal on X, calling it karma, calling him a thug, invoking the domestic violence angle with his personal chef. The schadenfreude was intense, and it was loud. The Say Cheese DGTL post-sharing court document details from the chef case hit 1.5 million views, over 9,000 likes, and hundreds of replies debating guilt versus what some called a money grab. Then Cardi B entered the conversation publicly, and everything got louder. Cardi B had been tied to Diggs throughout the 2025 season. Reports and tabloid speculation connected them romantically, with rumors of a pregnancy. When the paternity drama around Aileen LaPera became public and confirmed, the Cardi B angle exploded further. A viral clip circulated of commentary responding to the Cardi B and Diggs baby rumors, drawing massive reactions across platforms. Cameron went viral joking about being jealous of Diggs because of the whole situation. It was a joke, but it reflected just how deep into the culture cycle this story had gone. And then Cardi B allegedly attempted to defend Diggs publicly, and that defense backfired. Fan posts accused her of exposing the accuser's name or applying private pressure. She got pulled into the controversy instead of dampening it. Meanwhile, the Christopher Blake Griffith civil case resurfaced in March 2026, this time in connection with the Cardi B discourse, and a new wave of fan discussion around the sexual battery allegations kicked off all over again. The Barb's Rebirth account on X posted about the Griffith police report in mid-March, reigniting the conversation. The NFL, through all of this, said nothing.
I think a lot of people were saying the NFL typically waits until the legal situation is resolved in court and everything. So if they push it towards the end of March, this would be a next season situation.
Sportico analyzed the timing and concluded that any potential discipline would most likely not materialize until the 2026 regular season at the earliest, assuming a conviction or a plea. The league has the power to place a player on the commissioner's exempt list, paid leave, no team activities, at any point during an active investigation. They did not do this for Diggs. Not during the playoffs, not during the Super Bowl, not after the arraignment. Ex-users pointed to Ezekiel Elliott's 2017 suspension, imposed without criminal charges, as evidence of inconsistency. The complaint, the league picks and chooses. The NFL has not commented publicly on whether an active investigation into Diggs is even open. As of mid-March 2026, he is a free agent. He is eligible to sign with any team in the league. No suspension, no ban, no league, discipline of any kind. And that is the situation the next team to sign him will walk into. A player facing a felony pretrial hearing on April 1st, 2026, with multiple civil cases still active, no trial date set, and no clarity on what the NFL will do once the legal process moves forward.
Yeah, I think general manager, head coach have to have a relationship with somebody in that building that gets real facts, not bullshit facts. And to me, it's very, very hard. Why are you letting him go now? Something, that's a red flag to me.
That is the question every front office is now sitting with. Why is he available? What do the people inside that building know that the public does not? What comes next? Everything that Stefon Diggs has built, the contracts, the production numbers, the comeback narrative after the ACL, is now sitting on a legal fault line that could shift at any moment. Here's the full status of every active front on March 15th, 2026. The criminal case. 1 felony count of strangulation or suffocation, 1 misdemeanor count of assault and battery. Pre-trial hearing set for April 1st, 2026. No trial date, no plea deal according to his attorney. Diggs pleaded not guilty and was released on personal recognizance with a no-contact order in place. His attorney Mitchell Schuster has been consistent. No deal, no guilt, full exoneration expected. But here is the reality of what the charge means. Felony strangulation or suffocation under Massachusetts law is treated under domestic violence protocols, even in cases where the victim is an employee rather than a romantic partner. Strangulation is not treated as a garden variety assault charge. It is elevated because of what the act communicates physically. It signals an intent to control, to dominate, to potentially cause death. That is why prosecutors in Massachusetts pursue it as a felony separate from general assault. The defense's position rests on discrediting the account, pointing to the 2-week delay in reporting, the limited physical evidence, only minor redness noted, no photographs taken at the time, the financial dispute backdrop, and the NDA request from the chef as reasons to question her credibility. The attorney's framing: this is a disgruntled employee who did not get the settlement she wanted, so she went to police instead. The prosecution's position, based on what has been reported: she gave a detailed, consistent account. She provided text message screenshots. She provided voicemails. She was hesitant initially, which investigators may actually view as consistent with a victim in a power imbalance situation. And critically, she changed her mind about pressing charges only after receiving messages she believed were from someone in Diggs' circle, suggesting an awareness of her police contact that felt like intimidation. April 1st will tell us how far apart those two sides still are. Now, the civil cases, the Mia Jones and Brianna Mack lawsuit filed by Diggs in a Texas court in February 2025, is still active. Diggs alleged the 2 women punched him, destroyed roughly $130,000 in property, including a gaming console, a phone, and a watch, threatened him with a gun, and attempted to extort him for millions of dollars with the line, "You won't be playing this year." Jones filed a countersuit in April 2025, claiming Diggs punched her in the head and pressured her into signing an NDA. Both sides deny the other's version entirely. No resolution. The Christopher Blake Griffith case, civil complaint filed November 2025, Diggs' defamation countersuit filed October 2025, remains fully active. Darez Diggs has already pleaded no contest to felony assault in a related matter. Griffith's allegations against Stefon include battery, conspiracy, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and defamation. Stefon's countersuit calls the claims fabricated. No resolution. The Ferrari lawsuit, filed February 2026 in Miami-Dade County, names Stefon Diggs, Trevon Diggs, and Darez Diggs in claims of defamation, civil conspiracy, vicarious liability, and aiding and abetting assault and battery. The plaintiff sustained a torn ACL, partial MCL tear, and facial injuries in an alleged December 2025 attack in Miami. No response from Diggs' representatives publicly logged at time of reporting. No resolution. The paternity case, the one involving Aileen LaPera and daughter Charlie Harper Diggs LaPera, was settled and dismissed in January 2026. Both parties agreed to co-parenting terms. That one is closed. So the scorecard: 1 felony criminal case pending, 3 active civil suits against him, 1 civil suit he filed against others, 1 settled paternity case, 1 completed Super Bowl run, 1 release from the New England Patriots, 0 NFL discipline. That is Stefon Diggs' world as of right now. And the question of where he goes next is not a simple one.
Yeah, you don't want to ruin your culture for the playoffs either, but also, isn't there a lot of thoughts from NFL coaches and cultures nowadays as opposed to back in the day? Back in the day, if you were labeled a distraction, basically everybody was like, yep, we're not dealing with it. Now there seems to be a newer era of coaches that are like, it'll work here though, even though it didn't work.
That shift in philosophy is real. Teams do still sign players in legal limbo. They do it when the talent justifies the risk, when the locker room culture is strong enough to absorb the noise, and when the coaching staff believes they can manage the situation. But there is a calculation that goes beyond scheme fit and injury history.
Gotta have a strong coach from the head coach, and then your leadership in the locker room. You know, they gotta make a decision on, all right, is this a good guy to bring in? So that'll be a big part of it too.
I would go straight to my leaders. Hey, you want this guy? You know him? You want him? Yeah, we want him.
That is the conversation happening in front offices right now. And whoever signs Diggs, if anyone does, is signing the entire package. The production, the cap number, the personality, the The April 1st court date, the open criminal case, the 3 pending civil suits, the potential for an NFL suspension the moment the legal case moves. In 2025, Diggs produced 82 catches, 970 yards, and 4 touchdowns. All of this while rehabbing from an ACL tear suffered the prior season with the Texans. He was 32 years old turning 33, working his way back, and still found a way to be productive on a team that made the Super Bowl. That is a real argument for his value. A receiver with those numbers in a contract year should have a market. But his contract year is over, and the next contract, whatever it looks like, gets signed against the backdrop of a felony charge that has not been resolved. The NFL's personal conduct policy gives the league broad authority to suspend players for conduct that is dangerous, threatening, or violent, whether or not a criminal conviction results. The Ezekiel Elliott comparison that ex-users keep raising is not irrelevant. Elliott was suspended 6 games in 2017 without a criminal conviction. The league can act, and act significantly, based on its own investigation, independent of what a court decides. If Diggs is convicted on the felony strangulation count, a lengthy suspension becomes nearly certain. If the case results in a plea deal, even to a lesser charge, suspension becomes likely. If the case is dismissed or he is acquitted, the league can still investigate independently and still impose discipline if its internal findings warrant it. Sportico's analysis pointed to the 2026 regular season as the earliest window for potential discipline, assuming the legal case resolves before training camp opens. April 1st is the pre-trial. After that, the timeline could move fast or slow, depending on how the two sides maneuver. The defense has every incentive to extend proceedings. The prosecution has its own schedule pressures. The NFL is watching, and the public is watching too. Since the Pat McAfee show broke the charges in December 2025, the story has not left the cultural conversation for a single week. Every court date, every Instagram purge, every Cardi B comment, every Cameron joke, every Trevon Diggs connection, every new lawsuit filing, all of it has fed a news cycle that keeps Stefon Diggs' name in the algorithm. That is a double-edged reality for whoever signs him next. The attention does not go away. It grows with every development, and there will be more developments. What this story is, at its core, is the collision of extraordinary talent with an extraordinary legal mess. It is a man who by every football metric earned another contract, and a man who, by every off-field metric, is carrying more legal exposure than any active free agent in the NFL right now. The Goodbye Forever caption on his Instagram stories was aimed at New England, but whether it ends up meaning something bigger, whether it ends up being the last chapter of his NFL career, or just a temporary exit before a new beginning somewhere else, that answer is sitting in a Massachusetts courtroom on April 1st, 2026, and nobody knows how that goes yet. Nobody.